But I love when Jesus is doing things and you get down there and you get impacted. You don't care about your mattress or your pillow. You don't care about this or that or first class. You just want to make a difference. And that's how we should be, right?
Hey guys, this is Pastor Tommy. Thanks for joining us today at the church at Bushland. Man, we pray that your faith will be encouraged and inspired from today's message.
Man, great worship team. Thank y'all so much. Man, good to see each of you today. So if you're new to the house, just walked in, you're like, wow, they do church different. They have chairs on stage, bunch of people behind the preacher. That's not a normal Sunday for us. It's not how it always works, okay? But this team behind me is the latest team from our church that went to Honduras. They went the end of June. We have a great partnership with CRF, which is Christian Relief Fund. They're based here in Amarillo, Texas. Walt Melton Jones kind of leads this team here, and we have great connections with Bobby and his team, Donnie and Donna, there in Honduras, and we just have a great relationship with them, and we love what God is doing through our church and through CRF in Honduras, and we took this team went, and they got to experience that. And so today, we just want to open up the floor and let you kind of look inside the church and look inside this team that went to Honduras. And they have testimony about what God did through them and in them and all this stuff. And so I said in the first service, when you go on a mission trip, here's how you leave. You think you're going for them. And the minute that plane gets in that sky, you absolutely are in trouble, because that is not what's going to happen. And he's laughing the whole time that plane's in the air. And when it touches down, he's grinning at you, God is, because he's about to blow your sandals off, because he's going to do more in and through you than you could ever think or imagine. And so that's what happens to us. We have this agenda when we go, and God has an agenda when we arrive there, and he does it. And so you're going to get to hear about that. These are our students and some youth that went and some adults that went, and so we love what God is doing. Daniel Butts and his wife Rachel led the group. Kade did not go this year. I said in the first service he was glad about that. He really isn't glad about that. But if you've ever been to Honduras and you say, bring earplugs. You say, I don't need earplugs, man. I'm just going to go to sleep. You're not going to go to sleep. You're just not going to go to sleep if you don't have earplugs, because motorcycles and roosters and dogs all night long. I mean, all night long, okay? And you will not sleep. I'm just telling you, you're going to have to wear earplugs, okay? And so I'm sure Kay did not miss that. I'm sure you didn't miss that part, but he missed a lot of that. So I'm going to stop, and I want you to hear from the team. We love you. We couldn't do it without you, so listen to the testimonies from our team.
Well, amen. I get the fortunate enough opportunity to just kind of lead this morning. For some of you that maybe just walked into TCAB this morning, maybe for the first time, and what is this all about? We've been going to Honduras. I think we've gone for 3 summers so far. And we have just started with a basic mission trip, and then it's kind of increased since there. And one of my goals personally was we were hoping that somebody would rise out of our congregation that could lead these trips and take part in those. I love that it's one of my good friends, Daniel Butts, and his sweet wife, and just entrust them with what they do. One of my kid actually went on this trip. He's sick this morning, but it's an impactful trip. They're trustworthy people. Daniel has such a heart for people in general, but also really specifically in the area of missions, has a vision for it, has a purpose in it. Even though he works at Pentex locally here, there's just such a heartbeat still in him for overseas missions. And so just great impact that they've had on the trip, and you get to see the results of that this morning. But wanted to talk just a little bit about CRF and just their impact that they have. They are locally based here in Amarillo, and just some of the things that they do when we go on mission trips like this. This is their model off of their website. It's Christian Relief Fund is dedicated to helping children grow to be like Jesus by caring for their entire being and ensuring they are developing intellectually, physically, spiritually, and socially. Really, their big impact is to make sure that that kid is impacted in every area of their life. And really, they want to wage war against the line of poverty there. And they do that through education. They do that through clean water. They do that through relationships. They do that through every avenue that the gospel provides. They take advantage of it. And it's an impactful place. Campamento is. You can see it. You don't have to go there and ask God to be there. God's already there when you get there. They have done so much groundwork there. They are respected by the government and things that take place there. It is a impactful place to be. I almost say it's almost magical and unbelievable when you're sitting there and embracing all that God has done and the groundwork that has taken place there. And so it's just an impactful ministry here locally that has a global impact also that we get to partner with as a church. And so any of the funding and things, the VBF offerings and the things that we've done, we run that through CRF. One of the things that I love about them the most is they're not going to Honduras, and they'll tell this on the mission trips. We're not going to Honduras to Americanize the Hondurans. That's not the goal. That's not what Jesus would want to do. They're going to Honduras to spread the gospel, but they are going to enable the local people there to make impact on their people. And that's what I love about what CRF does. It's not one of those places that they try to go and Americanize everything. They are enabling the locals of any place that they're at, any country that they're at, to make impact in that through Jesus Christ. And so it's a great organization, Christian Relief Fund. If you want to look it up, you can do some research and do those things if you want to. Kind of what we want to do today is we're just going to ask some questions, kind of open the veil of what happened during this week. I wanted to start with Daniel and just give him the opportunity. There's been some projects that we've done in the past. There's some projects that he got to see kind of come into completion that were from this last summer till this, and then some of the things that we're doing right now. And you'll get to see some of the daycare here in a little bit where you stay, because I think a lot of people have a mindset that when you go on a mission trip, you think you're going to be staying in a tent with like wood sticks, and there's baboons and there's monkeys coming to get you all night long. And so you have this, and not saying that there's not extreme mission trips and there's not extreme things that take place, but I love when Jesus is doing things and you get down there and you get impacted. You don't care about your mattress or your pillow. You don't care about this or that or first class. You just want to make a difference. And that's how we should be, right? And so Daniel's going to talk a little bit about the things that, some of those projects that we've gotten to see. There will be pictures of the daycare pop up, and then as you see some of the pictures pop up here in a little bit, you may get to see some of those building projects that we've done. So go ahead, Daniel.
Good morning. I'm going to be brief because I want you guys to be able to hear from the team that went, but we're going to show a couple pictures. I'll give you a quick outline of what we did while we were there. So we did a vacation Bible school style lesson every single day. We did this huge community meal where we got to feed the whole community. We built food packets, 57 of them. Every single house in that community got to have a food packet. We mixed concrete for a house. I think we mixed about 1,500 pounds of concrete by hand and carried it in buckets and poured it in the house. And in the spare time, and there was basketball going on. There was always loving on kids and loving on people going on. So this picture here you're seeing here is the daycare where we actually stay. It's open top, you can see up there. So when it rains, it gets all wet, as you can see in this picture right here. But at the top, there's like a kind of dorm styles. There's bunk beds up there, and there's several of them. So, the guys stay in one, girls stay in the other. And then down here at the bottom is where their kitchen is. They prepare all the food for us. The food there is really good. Like, the food is awesome. I never heard any complaints about that. What else? So we did change things quite a bit this year. And in the past, we've gone to a bunch of different schools while we were there. So we'd go to one in the morning, we'd have a little lunch break, and then we'd go to a different school in the afternoon. So you're only seeing these kids for 2 or 3 hours max. So one of the changes that we made this year was we adopted this one school and this one community. It's called Cacao, which is Spanish for cocoa. But this is where our church has already done a lot of work there, and you'll see some of these buildings that are on these pictures. We built a kitchen there, which is a big deal because they feed the kids during school, and they were having to go off somewhere else and cook all the food and bring it to the school. So that's some of the money. The moms do that for free. They don't get paid for it. Those are some of the food packets we put together. So the $50 that a lot of you guys donated, it was able to feed a whole family with about a month's worth of staples, which is a big deal. to this community that we're in, because a lot of them, they don't get to eat regular meals, you know, so it was a huge blessing for us to get to do that. This is part of the kitchen that you're seeing. Also, with that money that was given from this church, we were able to build a second classroom because they are running out of room. And so, yeah, there we go. We did a little ribbon cutting ceremony they had for us for the kitchen and the second classroom opening up. I forgot to mention this in the first one, but I talked to the principal when we were leaving, and I said, what do you need? And I'm always kind of nervous to see what they're gonna say, because sometimes they ask for something that's really hard to get, really impossible, like, I don't know how I'm gonna get that done. She said, we don't have enough desks. She's like, we need 30 more desks, because a lot of my students are standing up and writing on the wall or writing on the floor to do their schoolwork. Then she wants a refrigerator for the kitchen. I was like, that's very easy. We can definitely get that done. So this is the concrete in the house that we poured. Like I said, 1,500 pounds. We got done really quick. It only took us about 3 hours. So this is how we got around the whole time we were there. Just loaded up in a bunch of little Hiluxes with Donnie, who you just pray you make it when he's driving, and takes, the little, what's it called, motion sickness patches or medicine or whatever. You know, it's just really trusting God anytime that dude's driving. This is another thing that the money that you guys have given did, was they had just holes in the ground for their bathrooms. And so we actually got to remodel their bathrooms. They have fully functional bathrooms now. And this was from the big community meal that we were able to feed the whole community one day and then share the gospel with them. So.
Well, awesome. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask a series of questions and try to open just the book of what all kind of was impactful to each of these. We had a lot of students on this one, kind of a multi-generational trip on this one. And so we'll get to see inside of some of this. And so the first question I want to ask each of you is, why did you choose to go on a mission trip to Honduras? Go ahead, Noah.
You called on me last time. No, for as long as I could remember, literally for as long as I could remember, I've always wanted to go on a missions trip. I don't really remember like a day where that fire was ignited. It's just for as long as I could remember, I've always wanted to go on a missions trip somewhere. And for some of you, you might remember when Hurricane Sandy hit New York in 2012, and the church I was at in my old state did a missions group that went over there, and I couldn't go because I was too young. So I just raised a bunch of money and ended up buying a homeless guy a bike over there. But that was my first missions trip experience that I got. But up until this point, I had never been able to actually go overseas and help people. And when this opportunity came up, I jumped on it very quickly. I was just like, this is what I've been wanting to do for my entire life. And just the opportunity that I had to do that and just see a different lifestyle and see a place where like their only satisfaction is Jesus. Like that is where their only satisfaction comes from, because they don't have the things, all of the things that we have here. And just to be able to see the way they interact with each other, the way they interacted with us, and to be a part of that and encouraging them, inspiring them, that was such a big blessing for me personally.
So my story's kind of the same as Noah's. I've just always wanted to go on mission trips. I don't really know where it started. I just had known, like, in my heart that's, like, what I meant to do, but I really didn't know how I was going to do it. In 2022, I think, or 21, one of the first years y'all went, I tried to go, and I was just too late to get signed up, so I wasn't able to. And then last year, or 2023, I, again, was just late getting signed up, didn't really know what mission trips I could go on. And then I went on a trip with one of my family friends, and we went to Roatan, Honduras, and like getting off at the port, it's just like in another country, it's completely different. Like it's just to see how they live compared to where we are at, it's just like, it makes you really grateful for where you're at. But to me, I just love, like, I love that they get to live like that and they are happy for the most part. And like, I just love seeing different cultures and like experiencing them and like appreciating them. But to see that, I was just like fell in love instantly and drove by the schools. Like you could just see the way they lived. And I looked to the person I was with on the trip and I was just like, I want to come here on a mission trip. I was like, let's go next year, kind of joking. And then life happened and it was August. So life happened, didn't think about it. And then January or February, I was just like, it was a random day, random night. I was like, okay, I want to go on a mission trip, like I do, and I'm going to make it happen. And so I just reached out to Tommy because he was my youth pastor. And I was just like, hey, because I knew Bushland went on mission trips. I was like, do you know of any that I can go on? Because I really want to go on one. And he was like, yeah, like, and it was really late. Props to him for answering me because it was late. But he was like, I'll just connect you with Kade. And so next morning, Kade texted me and he's like, hey, like, we just filled the last spot yesterday, but if you're really serious, like, we can get you on. And so, I mean, I was serious, but I kind of was like, oh, like, this is quick. I got to do all this, like, right now, and needed to, like, really make sure I was serious. And turns out I didn't really know where they were going. I just wanted to go. And they were going to Honduras, and it was just, like, the exact same place that, like, I had fallen in love with and had no idea, like, wasn't even thinking of that when I got, like, connected to this mission trip. And so it's just, like, really cool to see the way, like, God moved in that. And, like, in Honduras, like, the exact place I fell in love with, the exact place I tried to go to a few years ago and couldn't. And, like, I know now it's, like, God was moving because I didn't come to have a relationship, like, truly with the Lord until last year. And so, like, I wasn't equipped to go yet. And, like, I got to do the things I got to do this one because of, like, the story I had leading up to it. And, again, I just fell in love with it. And my plan is to go back next year and intern for CRF for, like, a month or so, hopefully. But just...
Anybody else out of the group, anything on that question? The impact?
Yeah.
If not, we'll move forward. I think the next question I want to ask is, did somebody have something? Oh, Rachel. I'll be in trouble. Don't knock me out, bro. Yeah, go ahead, Rachel. You were short. I couldn't see you. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I took a jab. I took a jab. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Right. All right. So I've been on a few mission trips before, just about a handful. Not like my husband, who's been in like 14 countries. But I loved getting to go back to Honduras. Last year, my birthday was during the week that we were there. And Daniel worked with Donnie and Donna, and they surprised me there at the school that we actually decided to kind of adopt. And I had this really cool connection with this girl last year. Her name was Marielle, and she and a couple of her friends just like clung to me. Like, I didn't even know what happened, but I was like, only God can make a connection like that. And so I was super excited to go back this next year, hoping that she would even remember me. And we got to the school. Sorry, I might cry. We got to this school, and she just ran up and gave me like the biggest hug, threw her arms around my neck, and we both cried. And she was like, I didn't know if you were gonna come back. And the next day we were there, she gave me these 2 folded pieces of paper, and I was unwrapping them, and of course they're in Spanish, so I'm like, Daniel, you want to translate? And one of them had a picture, like a psalm, and it had a little note that said, this is the best day of my life because I got the opportunity to see you. And I was just undone. And then this entire letter in Spanish, which I had to go back to the daycare and have Daniel like translate word for word for me. But it was just such a cool connection to see God just presented that to me. Like, I didn't do anything to earn that. I didn't make anything happen, but God did that for me. And it was such a sweet thing when we get to have our hearts stirred for people that we've never even thought of before, how God's love can just extend to all nations. When we went to the different houses, we took like all these bags and hiked up these kind of pretty hard mountains. And they're in Crocs, by the way. Like, these people can scale mountains in Crocs. Like, that's a whole other level. I don't even understand. But Marielle and her friends were with us the entire time. Like, they wanted to carry the bags with us. They wanted to take things with us. They're so generous. And so just to be blessed by the way that Jesus is in them, and I was just really overwhelmed by that.
Anybody else? Next question is this. How do you feel like the trip changed you, or was there a meaningful experience or moment for you that you can point to?
So whenever I first signed up for the trip, there were certain things about it that I was unsure about. Like, the people that I was surrounding myself with, I was scared what they would think of me. I mean, not necessarily in a bad way, but it was just very out of my comfort zone. And one night I was praying, and God revealed to me that my ultimate purpose on this earth is to be a disciple for him. It's not to make a name for myself. And by going out of my way and going across the country and spreading his word, like I was doing my purpose. And like I was still unsure about it, but then whenever we went, just like experiencing the kids and the trip itself, like that was confirmation for me that this is my purpose and this is what I'm gonna do. And like the song said, like, Jesus is my only thing, that's all I need, and I'll be okay.
So before the trip, I'd bought backpacks, frisbees, and bracelets for all the kids, and we were gonna hand them out, and we started putting them all together, and it was just really cool to get to see the whole group get together and just put their own things in and things that they brought, and it was just really cool to set those up, and then once we got to give those to the kids, it was just amazing to see the smiles on their faces and just to get to see them playing and enjoy all that.
So when we first get to the school, we go to the playground and we're playing with all the kids and all that. And I'm a little nervous to like just jump in and just start playing with these kids. And they don't like have an awkward phase. They just jump on you and they hug you and they're just like, let's go play, let's go do this. And there was this one little girl, her name in English is what she told me, was Kade. And she just like started talking in Spanish. All I did was smile and nod because I didn't know what she was saying, but she just kept talking and kept talking. And she would just grab me by the arm and she would take me to go play all these games. And every single day we went to the school, we would play. And on the last day, like, I was like, hey, bye, like, I'll see you later, like, see you next year kind of thing. And I start walking away, and she, like, clicks, like, I'm not going to see her for a while. And she runs up behind me, gives me the biggest hug, and in English, she tells me, thank you for everything that you've done. And that just hit me hard, like, just showing up for them just changes their lives and make them, like, just so happy.
So I love working with kids, like it is my passion, is what I want to do. I just have a love for working with kids, and being able to go on this mission trip and being able to serve them and just show them the love of God through just playing with them, hugging with them, talking to them, listening, and just being able to be there just shows me how grateful and just how grateful we need to be and how grateful they are just to be able to see you and to so when we gave them the VBS bags, every kid got one, and so whenever there was candy and gum and frisbees and stuff all in it, and the kids would not just keep anything. They would share every little piece with you. They would share the gum with you. They'd share the candy. They would not, and if you tried to give it back to them, they would not take it back. They were just giving everything that they have. They are so grateful for just everything that you can give them. And that's just shown me how much they love to just be around you and how much it really just impacts them, just you being there.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Gracie.
Sorry I'm talking a lot, but one of my favorite things that like I realized on the trip and just like before, obviously there's a language barrier and it's tough, but I didn't really know how that was gonna navigate, but all I could think of was like, we're gonna show them like Jesus through the way we love them. And it's just like, but like Kate said, you think you're going to do something, but like the way they love is just like beyond anything I've ever like experienced. Just the way they love wholeheartedly and so genuinely, and it's just amazing to like feel that. And you can't like, the communication's hard. You find a way to do it, but like the main thing is just loving on them and caring for them, but like they pour into you from the way they love. And to me, I'm just like, that is something only our God could do, is just like connect us in that way. And one of the things that impacted me the most on the trip was I loved every single child I met. Like, I want to take them all with me. I think I asked a million, like, every kid I met, I asked if they were sponsored because I just wanted every single one of them. But there was one kid at the school, and I met him the second day that we were there, and just the connection that I had with this little boy, I don't know how to describe. Like it was just the weirdest thing. And I just fell in love with him, and leaving him was so hard, but the first day we left, like, he just said manana. So, like, I would see him tomorrow, and I was like, okay. Second day, the last day, we were leaving, and I, like, knew it was coming. I was like, just don't think about it. But obviously the day came, and I had to leave, and we were loading up, and I was just trying to give him everything I had. I was like, just take everything. Like, literally just take it all, because, I mean, they don't have much, and you just want to give them everything you have. And he, like, said manana, and I was like, but I'm not seeing you tomorrow. And, like, I didn't know how to tell him that. Like, oh, I'm not seeing you for a while. Like, it broke my heart and, like, just shattered me. But it's just, like, I know that, like, I belong to the Lord. He belongs to the Lord. Like, his family belongs to them. And so it's just, like, he's going to take care of them and provide for them. And it's, like, it's scary because they do live there, and you don't know, like, what their life really looks like all the time. But, like, knowing that the Lord has him and is taking care of him, and, like, his life is going to work out the way it's supposed to. And if we're supposed to see each other again, like, we will, just, like, brings that peace. And it's comforting to see, like, the way the Lord moves through those connections.
I think Audrey and Roy and Jordan, y'all have been twice. Audrey, talk about your reasoning for going back and just the impact it's had on you.
Okay. Well, initially, I wanted to go back because I sponsored a child the first time I was there, and I wanted to see Yasmin. So that was a selfish reason for going. And I really love the work that CRF is doing there. The trips were very different. I feel like they were both good. But the fact that we now stay in one community, I feel like is a game changer. Because we did, even though we were only there 3 days, usually morning and afternoon, you did start forming relationships, and you could see the impact that you were having. It wasn't, in and out. And I'm so very, very proud of our young people. They brought a high energy. They brought just a sweet spirit. And of course, the kids love to play with them. I would play cards with them. I can't necessarily run around on the soccer field with them, but it was just so sweet to see the connections. And it's, like one of y'all said, there's not an awkward moment. Like, they immediately come up and give you the best hug you've ever had. You're a total stranger. It doesn't matter if you can speak the same language. Love just transcends all of that. And it was just, I'm just really, really proud. And several of the students said to me, I want to come back, but I don't want 2 days in Roatan. I want more campamento. I want more time with these kids. And I think that speaks very well to the way they're being raised and where their priorities are. So.
Go ahead, Roy.
So I went last year as well, and then this year both times I had way different experiences. I think God last year opened up to me to see just how blessed we are in America and how much we have. You would be shocked at what you see when you go there. If you get a chance, I think that it will hit everybody differently, but we're blessed. And that's what God showed me last year. At least that's how I feel. This year, what he showed me is this group of people that I barely knew anybody, just the way that everybody jumped in. We go to Roatan first to kind of build the relationships and kind of get us going as a team, but I don't think we needed that this year. I really don't. I think when we went to Campamento, we already had that chemistry because God just brings you there. You know why you're there, and you're there to do it. But I sat back and observed a little bit this year, and these kids, these students, sorry, showing my age here, but these students, they dug right in. I was shocked. I think there was one day that some of the phones weren't working, and nobody was really able to use their phones, but I was shocked that even when they came back on, they weren't on their phones. They were playing with the kids. They were doing things out in the community. And that to me was like, that just opened my eyes that, that these students are here for the right reasons and that God brought all of us together for the right reasons. So that was what I learned this year.
And I think, Jordan, you can go into this next question. What are some hard things that you endured on this trip that are difficult? We'll let you go into that. You're wearing yours. And so what are some hard things? And we'll start with Jordan. Go ahead.
Hey, I put my best foot forward. So I went last year, and my first overseas mission trip was actually, I was a little bit younger than Gavin, and just fell in love with being in other cultures. And if the Lord told me to move to any other country, I would go without hesitation. But I was just super excited, had a lot of expectation. I love working at the schools, working with the kids, and I love doing the concrete by hand. I think it's just a humbling experience and really just showing what serving looks like. So I was just super excited to get into Campamento, get working, and an hour after we got into the school, I broke my fibula. And I was just like, man, it's over. My entire purpose of being here is done. But through that, the Lord showed me that he doesn't need me working to further his kingdom. And he placed me in a spot I didn't want to be in, but he needed me in. And I got to observe and watch interactions with the students and the students in Honduras. I got to watch just people work and just see, how God moved in each person. And it was humbling to me because I want to get in there, I want to get my hands dirty, and I want to work. But to have to sit on the sideline, which is super humbling for me, and realize that his need is greater than my desire.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so I heard about this mission trip like 2 weeks before I joined it because I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to go. And I texted Jordan one night. I was like, hey, I want to go to Honduras. And he's like, yeah, there's one more spot left. So I jumped on that, which was awesome. Yeah, just like what Roy was saying about the Roatan and stuff, like we definitely could cut that out. Like I understand why we do it for the team building and everything, but all that time in Campamento did not feel like enough, and it was just really, really difficult leaving. And as like most of them said, like the connections with the kids were amazing, and playing soccer with them and like delivering food, and they were all helping riding their bikes up and down the mountains, which is crazy because they all walk like 5 miles to school every day, up mountains and down, and then into town to get groceries, like 13 miles or something like that to get groceries there and back walking. And it's just a crazy experience.
Yeah, so one of the cool things that, I don't know, it was just really cool to see. We did all the stuff in the days, this was actually concrete day. We worked our butts off, hauling all this concrete, and everyone was tired. And if you ever lost TJ, he was at the basketball courts, which is the next block over. And so we go over there, and TJ and Noah and Kenyon are already playing. And TJ comes up. I was not planning on playing. I was tired. I was exhausted from all that concrete work. I was wearing pants and a button-up shirt like this. And TJ comes up. He said, bro, we need one more. And I said, no. I said, I'm tired, dude. I'm done. He said, it's us versus them. And I said, are you saying the pride of our country is on the line? And he said, yes. I was like, all right. So we dominated. Our pride is intact. Don't worry. We won't talk about soccer, but there's Exhibit A over there. But I will say, I was really proud of Jordan, man. He got hurt first day. The CRF offered to fly him back, and he wanted to stay. And the day we were mixing concrete, it was like a 1/4 mile uphill, and there's Jordan just crutching up the mountain with us. I'm like, bro, go home. What are you doing? Like, go back to the daycare and chill out. But no, he had a really good attitude, and he was still encouraging people. But TJ, let's let you talk about the basketball a little bit, bud.
Hello, guys. My name is TJ, for those that don't know me. Honduras opened my eyes wide and even showed me how God works. When I came to Honduras, there was a pretty big language barrier. But when I went to go play basketball with the Hondurans, that language barrier collapsed. We understood each other fairly good, and that showed me that no matter what our differences is, God is always helping us connect to any type of people. There's no problem that God can't solve, so why not give all your problems to God and stop worrying if you're gonna make a fool out of yourself or that you don't think you're gonna fit in. The only thing that matters is that we're doing it all for the Lord.
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking off of what Daniel said, we had the opportunity to play pretty much every night that we were there, just basketball with these Honduran kids. And I got the pleasure to meet one of the kids over there. His name is Aaron. He's about 15 years old. And it was so cool just being able to interact with him because he doesn't speak any English, obviously, and I don't speak any Spanish. So literally 3/4 of our conversation was just like, see? No? See? Yeah. See? Yeah. And that's literally how we talked to each other the entire time that we were there. But it was almost like we spoke the same language just because we were able to interact with each other so well. And it just made it more obvious that like language is not a barrier to God. And just how we were able to interact with the kids. And like he dribbled the ball between my legs probably 15 times while we were over there. And every single time I got to the court, that's the first thing he let me know. But it was just fun to interact with them and to play basketball with them and just to connect with them in a way that really I wasn't expecting to connect with people through sports, and which is something that I love, that TJ loves, that Canyon loves, that we were just able to do that with the kids and just have fun with them that way. That was such a big blessing for me, and it was a lot of fun to be able to do that with them.
So I have to say what Daniel said about us dominating. We definitely did not. Me, TJ, and Noah were playing with the Aaron kid. And TJ's like, oh yeah, we got this. Like, and I think we lost 21-10. And that's when he went to go get Daniel. And Daniel can play basketball.
Yeah,
he does not look like he can play. He can play.
So continuing on with the, something that was hard. Every time I went to an airport, I think I got stopped. I guess I'm a super suspicious looking person. I don't know. They just start speaking Spanish. I just had to look at Daniel and ask him what they're saying. I guess I was his son for the day. I don't know. But anyways, we got to Tegucigalpa, and I was just struggling all day just trying to talk to people because they were all speaking Spanish. And we had gotten locked out of our hotel room, and I went up to the front office and had my Google Translate ready. I go up to him, and I was all prepared, and I say, we got locked out of room whatever. And in fluent English, he said, wait, what room did you get locked out of again?
Fun things that happen on the trip too. I think the last question would be this, and we'll let a couple of you answer this, and then we'll let you guys get out of here. How would you encourage the body of Christ here at TCAB about the area of missions and how important it is, and encourage them to participate in something like this if they're able to? Rachel, you want to take that question? You and Jordan? Go ahead, Jordan.
So I just always go back to Matthew 28 when Jesus says, go and make disciples of all nations. It's a command for us to go, and we can walk in obedience and go and make disciples. Not that we are doing it, but we get to be the vessel that God works through. And it doesn't necessarily mean we have to go to Honduras or another country. It can mean, in your family, starting a Bible study or volunteering here at church or going to Mesa Verde at the school we have over there, or even going overseas. It's our duty to walk in obedience that the Lord has commanded us to go and share his gospel. And if the Lord has a stirring on your heart to go to Honduras and you are worried about the money, like he is the God who provides. And if he's stirring your heart for that, he's going to provide for that because he's the God who sees you and knows you, and he's the God who provides.
So I think the beauty of overseas mission is that you're stepping outside of your normal routine, which can be very, very busy and very distracted at times. So when you go over to a different country, your focus is one thing, to love the people there. So you are making yourself more available to God. And I think that's the key right there, is that it is not about our ability. It is about your availability. Like, you are just saying yes. Like, all these people here, they just said yes. We're not special. We don't have anything specific to offer. We're just saying yes to God. And so if you have a stirring in your heart to, like Jordan said, to go do ministry anywhere, it can be literally to your next door neighbor, or it can be across the world. It doesn't matter. But remember that the first greatest story ever told is obviously the story of Jesus. The second greatest story is your story, how Jesus captured your heart. And it doesn't matter whether you think the testimony is amazing or if it's not in your eyes. If it's about Jesus, it's amazing and it's worth telling. So I would encourage you to just sit with Jesus, like, God, where you have me to go minister, because he's got a purpose for you there.
Good job. And I think to end today, I think I wanted Daniel, as we've sat with Pastor Jeff and he got to sit with us and we started talking about the future and what it looks like. Are we going to just keep repeating the same process? One of the big things was to really plant into one area. And so we did the 50 for 50 that y'all were a part of. This whole team went into all of those houses and prayed over every one of those houses. Because what we want to do is not just seed plant, we want to see God harvest, right? And we want to see the gospel come forth. But it takes time, effort, relationship, money. It takes all these things for the gospel to continue to spread through those families. It takes them to trust us. And so they got to see some of it. We feel like groundwork is taking place in every one of these trips. But I also think it's important for us to have vision for the future. And so we feel like Daniel's got some of that towards the future. He's going to throw out a few things that we're kind of dreaming about, thinking about, praying through that you can think as a church. And so Daniel, talk through some of those things that you feel like God kind of revealed.
Yeah, so I definitely think the adopting the one community thing, I think that was a great idea. I think it worked out really well. And in the future, we've already looked at, acquiring a piece of land. We looked at building not only like an event center that can double as a church on Sundays. The sky is the limit, really, when it comes to coming here. So what I'd like to see is I really like to do a medical mission trip because most of these people up here in the mountains, they don't get regular access to doctors and nurses and stuff like that. So something like that would be very beneficial. If y'all know someone maybe who was like physician's assistant of the year, who's standing in the back, wearing a yellow shirt. Look at him leaving. I've been on him for 2 years. Y'all help me out with that. But yeah, something like that would be great. We could do teacher training. If you have anything like that, we've done pastor conferences in the past. Really, the sky's the limit. If you have an idea of something that you think would be beneficial for that area, just come talk to us and we can start working that out. Another thing that we looked at was I asked the CRF representative when we were there, because there's a lot of teams that go to Campamento. It's pretty saturated. So I said, where is someone that nobody goes? And she says they have 2 spots where 0 teams go a year, like absolutely 0 teams. So it's basically a blank canvas, so we can go in there and build something there as well. But on top of Honduras, we're not going to abandon Honduras. So maybe a summer and a winter kind of thing or whatever, just have 2 different people go and do different things at the same time. It really doesn't matter. But I would like to continue to see the missions program growing here. This church, y'all been awesome. This is the most supportive church I've ever been a part of, especially from the staff and down to you guys. It's been awesome. So it's a privilege for me to get to do that.
And I think awesome. Y'all clap it up. So, as we go today, there is coffee out front. They took quite a bit of it in the first service. And so it's by donation. You can take it. It's from Honduras off the coffee fields there. It's really good. I think all that's left is whole bean at this point, so you'll have to buy a grinder. But it's back there. You can just put a donation in the basket as you go out today. Just a couple of things, too, that I think are important as you go. I think everybody is called to be a part of mission some way, somehow, in all of our lives. Some of you have given financially to make this work, but it is a team effort to continue to make impact across the world. And so just very thankful to be a part of a church that believes in something like this, believes that we not only make impact locally, but we go in a global in a global way. And so thank you as a church for just giving to this financially, taking part in it. We're very thankful. So let's stand together. We've got something that's pretty important here before you go today. I don't know if you've heard of this guy named Tiago that we have on our staff. They're about to launch clay vessels. And so there is this piece of paper right here, Mesa Verde Needs You. It is out front. It is a place to be able to give resources and supplies to clay vessels. You can scan the QR code. There are items that needed to be purchased before things kind of kick off. You can get this, pick this up, take this with you. This is eternal impact right here. And so take this with you as you go today. It's going to be a great resource to be able to be involved in what's happening in Mesa Verde. If you can't be involved physically, get that as you go today. And so let's join hands together and let's pray us out today. Our deacons will be at the door. You can also give online. Just very thankful that you came and visited us with us today at TCAB. God, we love you. We thank you so much for this younger generation. Man, I think a lot of people have written them off, and I just think that you're just writing a different story than what we can see sometimes. I thank you that this group up here understands what poverty looks like now, understands that it's their job to make war against that. It's their job to take care of children that don't have as much as they have. There's so many things that I think you're doing sometimes that we can't see, God, that's so sweet and good. And so we're thankful for the impact that you've had on the younger generation in this. Thank you for the adults that went into this and the impact that you've had on each of them. We pray for the hearts that are sitting out right in the crowd, that as Daniel's even talked about the future and the things that are going to come. We just thank you that you're already stirring in people that need to take part and need to be a part of those things. Thank you for a church that believes not only locally for what you're doing, but believes in a global effort, God, and gives towards that process. Thank you for CRF and the groundwork that they do to be able to come in and to be able to have a safe place to land and to be able to have so much work done before we even get there for us to be able to make impact. And God, we pray not only for a mission work that's seed planting, but we pray for a harvest, God. That would come out of Campamento, that we'd get to see people come to know the Lord, kids come to know the Lord. God, whatever our imprint is that you have for us, God, we just pray that you would just show us what that would be. And we love you, God. We thank you so much for Daniel and Rachel and their hard work and their willingness to leave their kids and do what they did. Thank you so much for the church that gave financially to this. We pray you bless our day today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hey, thanks for joining us today here at the Church at Bushland online. Hey, if you were inspired by today's message, we'd love to hear from you. Just drop a message in the comments, or you could email us at info@thechurchatbushland.com. We'd love to hear what God's doing in your life. Also, man, if there's anything we could agree for in prayer with you guys, just text the word pray to 806-557-1800. We believe there's power in agreement with the Lord. And so if we could pray for you, just do that for us. And if you'd like to connect further with us through social media, just search the Church at Bushland. You can find out more things that are coming up here and get involved that way. And then if you'd like to plan a visit, we'd love to see you face to face. We have services here 9 a.m., 10:30 a.m. every Sunday. You can go to our website, thechurchatbushland.com, and plan that visit, and we look forward to meeting you that way. Finally, man, just thanks again for joining us. Pray your faith was encouraged, and we look forward to journeying with you in the days ahead. So have a blessed day.